right, and we are live. All right, and we are live. All right, and we are live. Okay, so this is a very important topic, guys. So about character assassination. Okay, in today's politically correct culture. Okay, very important topic, particularly if you are to choose to character assassinate yourself so that you can be a newer version of you. We're also going to be discussing that because I think it's a very, very important topic. And a lot of people, they kind of side quest it. They kind of go, on the side to try and handle it. Side quest is a term that Joey just came up with in our last coaching call. It's a really great term. But anyway, so how does one, all right, hold on. My work is calling me 1 second. Hello? না এখনো কিছু বলেনি না আজকে জাস্ট স্কিপ করি যদি কল করে তারপর আমি যাব হ্যাঁ না যাবে না okay bye. All right, that's settled. So I have a client just like not responding back, and so I don't want to go there and then miss out if they're not coming. So that's just what I was handling, but in Bengali, obviously that's my mother tongue, but I learned English actually very well, which is why I don't have an accent because I traveled a lot of my life, right? I just have to explain that to you guys. So anyway, talking about character assassination, right? Like we have to understand that we are a character and we've created the character that we currently have, right? Either consciously we've chosen it or subconsciously we've chosen it. It has been chosen for us subconsciously sometimes too, right? We were forced into a situation where we have to take on a specific role or a character. And I think character assassination really comes down to the strength that you have to say that, no, this is who I am. Through your actions, through your behavior, through your vibe, through everything, right? People can sense a genuine human being who is surrendering to the moment. And I think it's very important for people who have been character assassinated. Let's say they go back to an old tweet of yours from years ago and tell you like, hey, you were like this in this particular time. And so that means who you are today has been impacted by that person who made that lewd tweet back in the 2000s or whatever, right? Now, this is a very strange way of looking at it because they can find anything, right? And everything is also, nowadays, everything is, CGI, editable, right? You can just edit everything. You can make a fake and put it online, whatever it is, right? So that makes the equation a lot more complicated, right? However, what you want to understand about assassinating your own character, meaning to destroy the old version of you so that you can recreate the newer version of you over that, like a hologram, like an imprint that just takes over, right, the simulation code. And the way that you do that is, first of all, you state very clear principles, very, very clear principles. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. And understanding really clearly that as you're taking activities on board, or you're actually carrying the activity, right? If I'm drinking water right now, very little water in this, but I'll show you an example, right? This water is now me. It's now my water because it's mixed up with my digestive system. Now it's a part of the water that is contained in my human body, that 70% or whatever, right? So it's important to understand that we become the thing that the activity that we do. We are what we repeatedly do, as Aristotle said, or somebody said. I don't exactly know the origin of the quote. There have been a couple of, people arguing about that, like who came up with this quote first, right? But anyway, the point being, if you are to, let's say, do something that stretches your comfort zone or challenges you in some way, you're installing the character trait of bravery, of courage, of resilience, all of these different things, right? So think of it like you're installing an expansion pack in this video game as you do different activities, you do different quests. you start to get the skill sets, right? More agility points, more strength points, more intelligence points, whatever it is, right? As you're moving forward. So it's really important that once you think of this idea that somebody can assassinate your character, somebody can come along and have some kind of smear campaign against you, right? They try to want to do you wrong. They, go out of their way to try to get your attention, right? They're exerting a lot of their own energy into you. Therefore, they're exhausted. Okay, try and understand this really. You hold the power of energy at that moment. When someone is going out of their way to try to harm you, they're exhausting themselves. Okay, they're exhausting their power source, they're exhausting their energy. So, energy is underneath your character, right? Your vibe, your energy is beneath the character. So when someone tries to assassinate you, they can assassinate your religion, your clothes, your culture, right? The way you walk, the way you talk, whatever it is on the outside, the external world, right? Oh, you got a stupid haircut. Oh, you did this. Oh, you do that. Whatever it is, right? They're saying that on the external world. They cannot touch you on the metaphysical world, okay? And even if they're claiming shamans or mystics or whatever they are saying, I'm a neo-liberal shaman, whatever, right? They cannot touch you because you have your own internal world so strong that you understand that is the origin point, the crux, right? The pivot moment of where the character is actually born from. So you are the light beyond the avatar. You are the soul within the avatar. Okay, really start to understand this, and no one can character assassinate you ever again if you understand this concept that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Okay, because a lot of people, they don't evolve through the toughness of their situations. They actually crumble down, if you notice, right? A tough situation happens, they either respond to it adversely, they attack, they go on fight or flight mode, they have all of this adrenaline inside them and they want to use that adrenaline to solve it. But again, it's putting you in a state of pressure, and we can't perform well under pressure. We just can't. Depression, right? It's the pressure that pushes you down. So what if we could embrace this pressure and not be attached to the pressure? What if we can become friends with the pressure and we start to ease a little bit more? And this understanding of if we ease, our performance increases, right? If we learn to ease, our performance increases, okay? So really start to understand this concept that you are the light within your avatar, you are the energy underneath your avatar. And if anybody tries to character assassinate you, you come back to your principles, you come back to your why, your strong why, your core reason for being, your raison d'etre, like your ikigai, some Japanese researchers would call it, right? Ikigai, which means your reason of being, right? Basically your vocation, your calling, your life path, your dharma, whatever you want to call it, right? Now it's interesting because the word dhanya, which means meditation in Sanskrit, and if you go around different places in India, it's like dhyan, right? Different ways of pronouncing it. If you go a little bit into China, you'll have chan, and then it's also like zen is the same word, right? Same word. But it's interesting how it all comes from this understanding of oneness and connecting with yourself, right? Like a lot of these mental practices have these practices of stillness and coming back to the self. Prayer, meditation, journaling, all of these things are introspective practices that get you to go inwards and figure things out, right? Get the answer protocols. Meditation is like Google, right? In a sense, it's a Google for the internal world. So you're searching for something, you go internally to search. Okay? Change this mindset around when it comes down to character assassination, because somebody can go on the dark web and hack you. What do I mean by this? They can actually enter your subconscious mind and they have a deep understanding. They're master manipulators, the media, certain people, the public. Some people are just skilled at being an investigator or an interrogator or a manipulator. Like they have these skill sets, right? So we have to protect ourselves from them, in a sense, the marketers that just come along and like weasel their way into our lives. You see what I'm saying? we need a protection mechanism from that so they can't assassinate our characters. And the one thing is truth. You can't hide the truth. You can try to hide the truth, but it will come out in some way or another. You see? So really understanding this law of truth, you can start to relax more into your beingness and just accept what has happened. And the acceptance gives you permission to rebuild your character after it's been assassinated. The possibility that there is something that needs to change within me. I've learned a grave lesson through this pain. And now I can pivot myself to a greater version of myself because of this, right? So every trauma, this is the frame. Every trauma is a prerequisite for me to explore my inner self. Okay? Every single time that I've been hurt, it's taught me something about myself that's helped me grow to a deeper expansion of me. So when you have that in mind, every single time you make a mistake or you fall over or you topple over, you have a rebound, right? You have a trampoline. You have a safety net for you that gets you to be the slingshot again. As you get pulled backwards, you actually launch forwards. So you need to practice this rebound effect when it comes down to character assassination. Someone tries to say, no, this person is like this. If you accept that person, you're trapped. If you say no and resist that person, you're trapped. What if you tell them maybe? You escape. Why? Because it's a probability. It's a 50-50. It's a non-committal answer. So if they say, are you stupid? You say, maybe, perhaps, quite possibly I am. I mean, it depends. These are all 50% chance, 50%, right? It's sort of in between. It's like wishy-washy, right? And that doesn't give them an opportunity to capture you, right? A gazelle is running away. A tiger needs to catch it. It can go this way or this way. Doesn't know which way. All right, maybe. You know, maybe this way, maybe that way. I don't know which way it's going to go. But if it knows you're going to say yes, you're trapped, right? The predator catches the prey. So really understand, are you going to choose to be a prey or a predator? Very important question, right? Predator is a bad term, but really understand it from a nature perspective, right? Really understand it from nature's code, because we have eyes facing forwards. Therefore, we are predators. If we had eyes to the side, like fish, right? Or certain, like giraffes, right? They're prey. So that's why we value focused people in society. They have it in their eyes. The focus is in their eyes. It's in the eyes, Chico, okay? So understand the power of the gaze when it comes down to character assassination. Like someone's trying to defame you or take you down your throne or say something about you, and you just maintain eye contact. And you just maintain it with the vibe of your character. So let's say that you're like the Kingpin character, right? You've chosen to be the Kingpin character in a situation where life is throwing you its stressor. Now, how would a Kingpin respond to this? That's the tiniest flea that I've ever seen, right? Something like that, right? It would respond to it with an ease. So you can pick from a conglomeration of characters, different characters from different pantheons, from different places. And maybe it was a cartoon you saw in the 1980s that really surprised you, right? Maybe you weren't even born then. I wasn't even born then in the 1980s, you know what I mean? But anyway, what if you chose something very unique, very special, and you chose that to be, you know how as children we had invisible friends? As adults, why don't we have invisible friends? Okay, that's weird, it's schizophrenic, it's whatever, right? All of these different biases against it, right? This understanding that it's crazy to have an invisible friend. What if you could, with intention, have an invisible friend that you ask it questions whenever you're stuck? And whenever your character is in question, you go back to that invisible friend and you seek solace through the imagination, through the pretend play. You seek solace. You go back to your innocence, back to your childhood aspect within you, your inner child, and you seek safety and reservoir there. always coming back to the back of the heart. That's the area that most, it's the Meng Ni point in Chinese meridian medicine, right? It's like right here, okay? It's like right there. If you rest your attention to the back of that area and you maintain your sovereignty and your discipline, that's when your character can't get assassinated. It's the eye contact and it's the solidity and the toughness and the strength to just stay there, right? It's the frame. It's the frame. The frame is the way that you see the world. So if your belief is nobody can touch me, they can't. I'm a timeless being. Okay? I'm formless, I'm shapeless. I'm selfless, I'm timeless, I'm effortless, and I have richness. Richness meaning I have vivid, acute sensory information. And the data around me, it's vivid, it's lucid, it's clear, it's so clear to me, right? So that's the way I want you to interpret the world slowly, is through the eyes of the person who's got it, the most loving and wisest version of your character, being almost like the halo effect that carries you forward. Not so much that you have to seek, but knowing that you already are, reminding you that you are sovereign, you are at your core, you can handle this, you have this under your control or within your control. Okay, not under or over your control, but within your control. So now, someone tries to throw a jab at you. Let's just say someone tried to throw a jab at me in this video or whatever. Like, hey, why is he wearing like a fake Drake chain or something like that? What if someone says that to me? How would I respond to this? Right? I'd look at it, be like, I'm praying for you too. Right? That's my response. I know it sounds weird, but I just tapped into a character to give that response. You see what I'm saying? So for character assassination, you always have to timeline jump really quick between characters, right? Shapeshift. That way they can't catch you either. They can't program you because you are nothingness and everything at the same time. You are a shapeshifter, right? So you go, and do you think that's inauthentic? No, actually. Because just because you're mean 1 second and very kind the other moment, does it make you mean or does it make you kind? No, but it makes you. You were the outlier. You were not the outlier. I mean, you were the connecting factor in all of these situations where you're mean, you're rude, suddenly you're funny, some days you're not, right? What remains is you. So you are always you. You just stay at your neutral standpoint, and then you can switch like a gravitron machine, right? You can just, then someone comes along and they're like, hey, you look like a fake, like a Backstreet Boy with that like tie-dyed hair or whatever, tie-dyed hair, what it's called, bleached hair, right? What are you trying to be, like a surfer on land or something? Yeah, they call me the land swimmer, funny enough. Okay, another character I switched into. I'm not going to tell you which ones because I have so many, but just try and play with this idea that you have imaginary friends that you can hop into. You can take on their personas and their personalities, like The Mask, right? I've been watching The Mask. Man, this movie will teach you so much. Do you notice that scene where he's watching the TV? Okay, no spoilers, but I'm just telling you. He's watching the scene and he sees this like wolf going, "Awooga," or whatever, right? And he later on in that party, when he has the mask on, Stanley at Kiss or whatever, he has the mask on and he does the same mannerism. There's the awooga and his eyes come out because he's seen it in his consciousness. So whatever we're feeding our consciousness, it's becoming us. So in order for you to be a badass character, you have to look up these badass characters and study them on repeat, on a loop. That's one of the secrets that this movie is giving you guys. Okay? What The Mask is just an activation portal of flow state that is already within him. Stanley Itkiss has this suave, effortless, fast, quick-witted, strange, slightly obnoxious like character that he embodies, right? But it's just a portal, it's just a permission he's giving himself as he wears the mask. And it's merging with his own consciousness. Same thing as Venom, right? The idea of Venom, a symbiote, something on the external coming in, influencing the internal, and together they're yin yang ho, doing the shadow work and moving forward, right? So I see Venom as the shadow. Let me show you guys something, okay? So let me show you guys my different Funko Pops, because this is like the natural side coming out of the art of seduction, right? I'm a child at heart, okay? And I believe to really channel these energies and be able to embody the character, not get character assassinated easily, we have to really tap into certain energies and frequencies, right? And the way you do this is through imagery. Now, the imagery I've collected for myself is very specific, so it's not going to be yours. Let me say this again. This is not going to be your archetype that you're choosing, but this is mine, and this is the process that I've gone through, and I'm sharing that for the benefit of you people listening, okay? So the first one is Doctor Strange, but he's venomized, okay? Really look at this character right here, okay? You see that? He has the Time Lord over the Venom logo. You see that? Incredible. Why Doctor Strange? Doctor Strange is time manipulation, my friends, okay? Doctor Strange is the embodiment of the flow state. I even have a breakdown of Doctor Strange if you check out that video, okay, on my movie breakdowns. Doctor Strange is a perfect analogy of this Kung Fu wizard that I've explained in the past, right? He has the flow state mechanisms and the tools and the skill set. He's the mystic power, but he hasn't done his shadow work, which is why I brought along the Venomized side. Now, Venom is pretty terrifying in a sense, but so is shadow work, okay? Shadow work is not always easy and fluffy bunnies, right? It's really looking at the deepest and darkest parts of yourself to make sure that those parts meet your light and we can be individuated, as Carl Jung says, right? So there's that first character. Number two, why Rasputin from Hellboy? Why have I picked him? Okay. First of all, this looks like one of my mentors back in the day, AZD. I mean, he's still my mentor, but you know, like back in the day, he used to have this big beard, and it kind of reminds me of that. But yeah, why Rasputin? Rasputin, he also has the logo for the Iron Fist. It's very interesting, right? That dragon. The same kind of dragon logo here on his, like, kind of the design. It's very interesting, right? So Rasputin is a sorcerer. He's a magician. He can control things. He can control the world of magic and the mystical, right? And so he is actually one of the founders of like really understanding the subconscious world, such as maybe the underworld or hypnosis or going underneath, right? And so when I look at him, I tap into that frequency of the flow state, also represented through this guy, 8. I think this is a Fortnite character, but then again, you know, the 8, which represents the 8 hertz per second, which is the flow state frequency, okay? And this guy kind of looks like a SWAT team guy, right? Like he's very like Navy SEAL, like disciplined, you know. It's like this represents discipline to me, and this represents surrender to me. This is Hydro from Spider-Man. He's also a villain. Why am I so obsessed with villains instead of like the hero, right? Hero and anti-hero and hero, I guess, this one. But it's really interesting because both of these guys, right? Well, let's just take these two villains, right? They have a very intense frequency of what I'm looking for. Hydro is like using the water as a teacher and embodying the water so he moves forward in the world to cause whatever chaos he can with the water, but it's also maintained within himself. He's the one in control, right? So he can bring the chaos to the world, or he can control the chaos and move forward in the world. So this is a very important lesson for me, actually. And it's important to really have these different character archetypes, right? I also have a transparent tiger, which is shapeless, formless, and it is my belief that this golden transparent tiger can take on any shape imaginable, right? And similar with the mask, how the mask can kind of morph into these different characters in a sense too, right? He's not stuck only at the mask. He can like mold his face, his eyes come out, right? This very cartoonish, like when he falls on the floor, right? He squishes flat like a Looney Tunes cartoon, and like has to like lift his own head up. Like this kind of cartoonish bizarreness also is an influence to me because I used to watch cartoons growing up constantly, right? And actually learning from them and envisioning each of them as my mentors and going into their own internal worlds and then coming back and seeing the joy and the freedom in that, actually, on how I can go into an Ed and Eddie world, come out, go to a Courage the Cowardly Dog world, come out, right? And this constant flux of learning from all of these different characters, and tapping into the voice of like, well, I don't know, Bart, like, like the goofiness of Homer, and the, I don't know, man, like that kind of like nonchalance from Bart, right? And Milhouse, the dorkiest like character with my name is Lisa, with like that intellectual, the intellectual jazz, like kind of a hipster vibe to Lisa, right? Which adds to the storyline because her character is so essential in calming the family down, right? As a pivot point. So even when I was watching The Simpsons reruns after reruns, there's like so many seasons. I think I've probably seen most seasons, and I've hardwired it. So I can also see the predictive programming that The Simpsons allows, right? Because I've been conditioned by it and understood. That's why I have this like pop culture linguistics underneath my belt that just allowed me to free flow from there for that standpoint. So shout out to Matt Groening because he has built that empire, but maybe after he was gone, it was sort of put into a different set of hands, you could say. I don't know. We're getting very conspiratorial here, but who knows what really is, the truth of The Simpsons? That's the real question, right? So actually, they gave me Talos also as a character. Now, I don't know much about him. I know I'm fascinated by aliens. I do remember that he tried to imitate Nick Fury once, okay? He tried to take on, he's a shapeshifter as well. So all of these really comes back to my rap name, Scripts, right? The name Scripts means my life is a movie. And I want my life to be a reminder to you that life is a movie and not to take it seriously, because you can create and recreate and rewrite the script as many times as you want. You've seen me change over the many years. You've seen me tall, you've seen me short, you've seen me overweight, you've seen me underweight, you've seen me muscular, not muscular, you've seen me changing my hair, cutting my hair. There is no point of conclusion. There isn't a point of conclusion, because the point of conclusion, the full stop, ends the flow. And my friend, we are immortal. We have inside us blood of kings. Okay, that song by Queen. I am immortal. I have inside me blood of kings. No man can be my equal. Right? That's also an Apathy song, by the way. Check out Apathy's remix. It's so fire, so fire. Type in Apathy Immortal. It's a really, like, you'll vibe to it. If you feel it within your bones, and just the factor of the energy that he's spitting raps at, that energy, just notice that energy. He feels unstoppable at that time, right? And we really are. We create these confines within our own minds, these limits. We think this is not possible. No, it can't be for me. Like, I'm not like that. I mean, he's like that. He gets all the results, and I don't. The moment we create this distance, this split between I am over here, they are over there, there's no self and other merging in flow state anymore. You see, in flow state, the self merges with the other. That's why you can be in love with someone and be in a deep, deep flow state trance where you just overlook all of their flaws and you're like, oh, this person is perfect for me in the beginning, right? But then all the illusions come out and you see the truth of who they are. And then it's like, oh man, I'm not in flow state anymore. Like I'm being pivoted into reality. But what's very interesting to note here is self-actualized individuals, right? They actually are more wired towards reality. They're not reality escapers, as you'd like to think. They're not like bliss junkies, right? They're actually very, very grounded and in tune with their reality and what they're doing. And this is very, very interesting because Maslow, he talked about self-transcendence before his death. That's a different story. But really understanding that he meant for us to get into a unity consciousness and a flow state philosophy-based culture of letting go, of allowing things to emerge by not trying to force nature to do our bidding for us, to allow nature to be a teacher again, and allow us to really function fully as a society by creating momentum through the flow state, rather than a fear-based society, which is what we're living in right now, right? So one of the missions of the flow code, which I really want to be accredited as a flow coach as well through flow code one of these days in my timeline. Excuse me, just digesting some salad. In my timeline, I definitely want to, get that ICF accreditation for the 6 months and then get that help. I'm on that program now. Then I also really am interested in collaborating with the Flow Code, because I know they have different flow state tools, and I'm the tool collector in a sense. So it's really important for me to get all the flow state tools that there are out there. I actually posted a meme today about this, on how I'm constantly looking for the newest flow state information, and I'm sure you guys can find it on my Instagram, right? This one, where it's me, and it's new flow state information. It's nature's code, right? Is dragging me away. What did I mean by this? Well, the thing is, the natural rhythm of life will always take us towards it, and it will always win over any kind of new logical information soaking experience. Will always win, and that is nature teaching us, right? And it will always override how many courses you've read, books you've tried to consume. That nature's code, or that ability for you to tap into the teachings of nature, will always override. So that was what that meme was actually showing, because I have this tendency to keep learning new information, new flow state information. Oh, this thing came out about the flow state, heart rate variability. Let me read on that. Instead of trying to seek out all this flow state information, let you be the teacher to your own flow state and go internally and figure out the keys, right? The Janu's keys that open the lock to the threshold of consciousness, which is a much greater goal than I'm just trying to make it through my 9 to 5, or whatever. Now, I'm not shaming the 9 to 5. That's great. If you're having a 9 to 5 and you're in the flow state and you're enjoying yourself, that's absolutely valid. But if you're doing that just because, to appease society, it's all these external factors are controlling you, instead of you being hey, I'm here to show up. I have autonomy, right? I have my purpose. I have a mastery over what I'm doing. And let me start to actually create my own reality, rather than being created into a reality, right? And that's a lot of people's problems that I notice show up. A lot of the repeated problems that I see for my coaching is, one second, my bad, is a lot of people, they're I have my reality a very specific way because it's not my reality. I haven't claimed it yet, right? I'm just kind of going with what is. I'm not being the flow. I'm going with the flow, right? A lot of people, they're just going with the flow. They're not being the flow. You're not embodying the flow state and living through it and maintaining it like it's a beautiful plant to be nurtured and cultivated, rather than this quick fix mentality, magic pill, shove a magic pill in me, Barley. I don't know if anybody's named Barley, but you know what I mean? It's a funny analogy. But yeah, you see how I have this ability to pull out funny voices and things like that. That's all based on my programming from childhood, from watching cartoons, right? And now that you know that, you feel a different connection to me, right? You feel like you know me a little bit better because, okay, he does this funny voices and things, but there's a deeper layer to that, where he used to use cartoons as his escape from the real world, okay? Now that's going even deeper. That's going a layer deeper into my heart space, you see? So this vulnerability actually creates a connection, right? It's actually like a pair bonding thing that happens, where you are vulnerable, but you understand there is a trust that emerges, but not to make yourself more vulnerable than you are, right? Not to try to overexert it and make it like a virtue signaling thing, hey, look how vulnerable I am, right? Then it becomes a pity party. But to, from your realness, be able to express yourself from your core truth, that's a different process altogether, right? So I believe I've gone on for 34 minutes now. I see one person watching. Well, if you want, please ask me a question on character assassination, and I will go deeply more into it. I think it's a very profound topic, and there can be a lot that people can learn from this topic So if you have any closing remarks or questions for this, definitely paste it into the comments right now. And as I just think about wrapping up and my final thoughts. So final thoughts being, you're always under the control of your character. Okay, you can always press pause in the video game of life and become an observer, but you've also got to be a participant. Are you a watcher or a player? Really ask yourself this. Am I a watcher or a player in this video game of life? If I'm a watcher, you can vicariously live through other people's experiences, but that's not going to be legit. It's not going to excite you enough. It's not visceral enough. It's not real. You got to melt with the reality to be self-actualized, like Maslow says, right? You got to envelop yourself into that like quest of growth in accomplishing something, rather than being like, oh, now I'm here where I am, and I guess I'm stuck. Oh no, right? Instead of that oh no phase of like, I guess I don't know what I'm doing. Like, none of us know what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real here for a second. Nobody knows what they're doing. Just some people are more confident than others and show that they know exactly what they're doing. This is the truth of reality. So now that you know that truth, what are you going to do with that information? That's the real question. You can wake up tomorrow and be a completely different human being. And let the world challenge you, because the moment they challenge you, that's the test to your character. That's the time to be like, no, I am this person because I claim it, and because I am, and because I said so. And here I am demonstrating it in a different way, right? And it becomes this magnanimous energy where it's like it starts to just attach itself to whatever. It's like a free floating ball, right? It just attaches itself with more of the energy, because it feels so good to be in that vibration of growth, of potential, of learning new things, right? So as long as we're doing that, as long as we're moving forward and we're claiming that, hey, nobody really knows what they're doing, so let me show people that I know what I'm doing. And that claim might be a little bit selfish, but that's actually selfless, because you're doing this for the community, you see. So if you're like Tony Robbins did this as well, right? He created that Tony Robbins guy so he can help serve the most people. Okay. So a part of my understanding is, hey, I want to be well liked, but I'm not trying to be forcing myself to be well liked, right? I'm going to allow myself to naturally embody what I do know, like a songbird who loves to sing. And then naturally the animals that will resonate with that will come visit me. Maybe other songbirds. But notice that you're at a height now like a songbird, and the cats are meowing and purring and wanting your attention now too. So the moths are attracted to the light. Okay? Thieves don't rob an empty house. They rob things with a lot of luxurious items inside. So you have value. When someone tries to steal from you, just know it's a reminder of your value that you have. Okay? Really important lesson today. Let that soak in, actually. Like, let that soak in. I think that a lot of us, we constrain ourselves with our energy, and we're kind of like, we're keeping it, we're waiting for it to bubble inside rather than actually moving with the energy and like fluxing it forward. Flexing it forward, man. Not flexing, but fluxing. That's a new word, right? But let's see. So, okay. This is what I have surrounding me. Like, my whole entire space is to, get me into flow, right? It's like I'm not even looking at like where it's gonna land, right? But I know from my peripherals, like I can catch it. It's just from my peripherals, right? It's not even from like a sense of, oh, like it's going to land over here. It's just, I know my body knows, my body has an active code that it's following, and it knows. It's a prediction making software, right? It knows that if it's going to go here, it's going to follow the laws of gravity right now, right? And do it. So that's another process that you also want to understand. That are there objects around me that can help me with my flow? Kendama being another great example, because the kendama actually requires a lot of skill set, right? A lot of strength that you're able to maintain and repeat the same movement again and again and again and again and again and again until it hardwires to the system. So what is that teaching you? And what did that teach me? It taught me to make the same mistake again and again and again until the right refinement clicks it and it's in place, right? So that's what happens in life too. People keep shoving you down again and again and again. Like I remember, right, this woman from Esvedra, whatever, wellness, she wanted me to do her app or whatever, you know? And after a while, just reaching out to her, I wanted more information about it. She just like, you know, not responding. She stopped responding. Maybe she got, I don't know what exactly happened to her. Maybe she got married or whatever, you know, and she just took her consciousness away from the connection of Scripps Sumed, right? And the moment that happened, I had to state it out into the universe. Hey, listen, you're probably a great person. You want me to do your app, but I definitely need an apology from you because, you know, that's how we do things. That's just how, you know, just tell me that you want to do it or not. Like, don't keep me waiting for like 4 years and like this longingness that it's creating. So when you notice you have this longingness or some kind of like a covert contract with someone, you know, where you're like, you haven't really made a decision on what they are to you. Like, are you my friend? Are you my lover? Are you my like business partner? Are you my like what frame? Like what, you know, role have you really set so your character can interact with this other character and understand everybody's interacting from a specific space, right? And it's dependent on their mood and their state. So really start to understand that if you maintain a specific state throughout the day, you're actually reprogramming yourself to make that state a lot more activated, right? So find activators throughout your day. Different activators, like, you know, light a candle, go for a walk, you know, maybe, you know, go get your penny board out into the city, you know, just start doing things that will start to generate this fuel energy, right? And the moment you do it, you'll notice your fear encourages itself to emerge, right? It's like the fear comes up and it's like, oh, I don't know. It's that feeling, right? Of something is about to happen, right? It feels like right? That's how it shows up in a sound. If I were to describe it to you in a sound, that's what it sounds like. That anxiety of like, right? That has that frequency of like something's gonna build and something's gonna happen and it's gonna set off a siren in my mind that goes, right? And before that tends to happen, what I remind myself of is, hey, I'm here right now. I'm grounded. I'm here in the present moment, baby. There's nothing else besides me right now in this current space, doing what I'm doing in this time right now. And you just keep repeating that, right? Reminding yourself that you're right now and describing to yourself like a narrator what is around me. I'm moving my arms right now very rapidly, and it's creating a rhythm within me, kind of like a rapper would, right? Now I am lifting up a cup and I'm looking at it through the sunlight. It's looking really aesthetic and poetic for me. In fact, it's making my eyes glisten with the sun rays reflecting off of the glass that makes this weird pineapple based idol glow in the sunlight, right? I can keep going with that because that is what the flow state allows you to do. You just capture it. Just capture the moment, you ride it, right? You just hop onto the ride. It's like a hitchhiker comes by and it's like, whoop, you got it. You caught the wave. So understand you can catch the wave at any portal, any timeline, any character you want to be. You want to be a bad boy tomorrow? Let's go. Let's go. Let's play that up. Let's exaggerate it to the point where it feels a little bit uncomfortable and the world challenges us of it. And then we refine it. And then we, you know, okay, maybe I was overdoing it a little bit. Let me just see. But if you feel like you're overdoing it, it's on the right path. You guys know this, right? If you feel like, oh, I'm doing it too much, that's actually a reminder that you're on the right track with it. Okay. The disturbance from the environment is actually a good sign because it's showing to you that these people are not in line with your future, right? If everybody's allowing, and that allowing is also dense with a fabrication and a pretense of like how they're pretending to support you, that's also a negative energy. So you'll be able to understand this, right? When you start practicing, you'll be able to pick up energy and know when it's real and know when it's fake. Okay, very quickly, very quickly. It's like almost a second nature skill set, right? Where you're like tapping into the organic experience of what it means to be human, right? I see these videos nowadays about like learning body language, like, hey, smile, tilt your head to the side when people like, so people know that you're listening to them, right? Or like like these videos that show you like, don't cross your arms, or like, like when someone is talking to you, or like, I don't know, like, smile with your eyes, right? Don't smile with your face, smile with your eyes. Like these little techniques, if you keep seeing these techniques, they're actually telling you how to be a human. Like that's what this video is telling you. How to be a human. Yeah, smile when you want to smile, right? Be sad when you were sad. Like, okay, thank you. But maybe, hey, maybe this is a great tool for people with, spectrum disorders and things like this, where you actually see people who are not social and they can't be social, and you start to understand that they need to be told to maintain eye contact and smile and like, have a good posture and all of these things, which are like, hey, I'm a human being. Like, this is basic anatomy, basic understanding of who I am, right? And there's someone else in my space right now, and I'm communicating to them, but I'm having to remind myself to like, sit up and like engage and like smile and like tilt my head to the side and like do all these quirky little things to try and, make this encounter work. But I'm so in my mind, I'm not in the experience, you see? So it's a trap. All these videos are a trap that you're watching. It's like, power pose, and then just, I tell people to power pose. I think it's an incredible technique. But if you're only relying on the technique and not the actual lesson from the technique and embodying it, it's BS, right? So really get an understanding of what is it that the character that you want to be, and who is trying to assassinate that character, and what does this character belong to? What tribe does it belong to? And start hanging around those kinds of people. I know my tribe does very healing modalities and like kind of, different types of new age therapy type of stuff, right? And they're very interested in the flow state. And I have an idea of who my tribe is, right? So I have a solace, a place that I can go to where I can trust them and they can trust me, you see? And trust is a very, very valuable thing that you need in anything, right? If you don't have trust in your own craft, you're going to falter. And if you don't have trust in your own craft, you won't get to that level of mastery of self-knowledge, and it will be like a block in the way of your conscious creation process, right? It'll just be like an invisible block, like just a wall that you can't really see very well, right? So start to understand that, and also regenerate your energy whatever chance you can get, right? Regenerate, restart right now, drop everything right now, and then restart. Have that skill set to do so. It's so powerful. I explained this in the Modern Flirting podcast as well by Jared Psych Lawrence. If you want to check that out, that's an episode that I did with him and his current girlfriend, I believe, and at the time. And so I was speaking about this idea of just being able to drop everything, right, in that podcast. Like, let's say you show up to a date, it's not going well, it's horrible from the start, right? They don't bring you the menu, she starts complaining, whatever it is. Imagine the worst entire scenario, right, that you can imagine. Now, what if in that moment you took an inhale and you imagine you taking all of the negativity and toxicity of that situation, holding it within you, and you let it go. And it's just a complete restart to your game, to your life, to your dates. How powerful is that technique? To drop everything. Drop your ego, drop the stories you're telling yourself in that moment, drop everything. Just drop everything. Imagine you're pressing a refresh button like you're turning on the computer again. And you can even tap the sides of your temples to do this. Sometimes I do this, right? This is a stress relief point, but I like to do this just like kind of like this, like, and then I'll clap or something. And I'll just be like, all right, I'm back. It's a situation that you claim into the environment, right? You're like, refreshed. And I'm ready to go again. It's like when you're tired after a set of working out or whatever, and you're like, I'm ready to go again. That's the feeling, right? It's that feeling of like, all right, I'm taking pressure on. Now it's pressure on, right? It's like when a lion hunts and it sees the prey, it suddenly wakes, it jolts awake. It has a focus in its eyes, right? blood running through its veins. It just suddenly wakes up like this. But lions sleep for a really long time. They sleep for like 7-8 hours, I think, right? So they're sleeping and sleeping and sleeping in this mild hypnagogic hypnopompic state where it's opening its eyes. Maybe it's waking up, right? It's opening its eyes and it sees maybe a gazelle and it suddenly goes. And its senses sort of liven, right? Its senses go. It's ready to go. We need that as people in the morning. But we don't have a gazelle to hunt. Everything's in the supermarkets, caught for us, whatever it is. So hunt your day, right? You want to have that mentality of hunting your day. Like, what is my next goal? And when your system turns on in the morning, it goes the same way a lion notices in the pavilion that there's a deer. You wake up in the morning knowing that you're about to follow this natural instinct, this primal turning on of the system that is human being, not human doing, but being throughout your day. You're ready to be the character you were born to play, right? Thank you so much for listening. If you have any other final questions, please let me know. Type them in. Gone way over time than I thought I would, but this was a very, very deep and profound, important topic to really consider. Okay? So thanks once again. I hope you have an incredible day. May the flow be with you. May you never be the same again. Let's get it today. Upward Spiral Gang. You already know what it is. Upwards Spiral Gang. Hashtag Upward Spiral Gang. You already know.